Hey everyone, welcome back to MangaMinute. I'm thrilled to share my latest recap video with you. If you missed the previous one, no worries, just take a quick peek in the description below for the link. Now, let's dive right in and enjoy.
Lee Cheol-soo lay sprawled on the humble bed in his quarters, the chill of the room seeping into his bones. Despite the early hour, sleep eluded him, leaving him restless as he tossed and turned on the thin mattress. Tomorrow marked a significant milestone. His first day as a disciple of the Guangdong sect. It should have filled him with excitement and anticipation, yet the weight of anxiety pressed heavily on his chest, making it difficult to find comfort in the simplicity of the space. He could feel frustration simmering beneath the surface as he thought about Gan Yi, his newly appointed senior disciple. The handsome figure had invaded his mind, stirring feelings of both admiration and dread. The thought of facing Gan Yi again made his heart race, not from excitement but from the anxious uncertainty of their next interaction. Cheol-soo could hardly shake the image of Gan Yi's perfect features and effortless charm, which only amplified his own insecurities. Lee Cheol-soo stood before Gan Yi, bowing respectfully, acknowledging the start of their journey together. Gan Yi, ever humble, responded in kind, though there was a clear sense of regret in his tone as he surveyed the dilapidated state of the once great Guangdong sect. The vast grounds, now in ruins, spoke of the tragic massacre that had ravaged the sect 50 years prior. Yet, despite the decay, the Hyunshin Palace, where the headmaster resided, and the Chongwon Hall, which once housed the disciples, remained standing, a silent testament to the resilience of the sect. Gan Yi's intent was clear. The Guangdong sect was not dead, and he wished to share this profound meaning with his new junior. As Gan Yi spoke, Lee Cheol-soo's thoughts drifted back to the history of the war between righteousness and demons, a time when the demon sect launched a surprise attack on the Guangdong sect, bypassing the renowned Kunlun sect. It had been a devastating blow, one that nearly obliterated the strongest of the 9 great sections. Cheol-soo understood Gan Yi's deep connection to the past, the weight of the sect's history heavy on his shoulders. It was no wonder Gan Yi was so eager to share the significance of the place with a new disciple, a sign of hope amidst the ruins. But Cheol-soo, still adjusting to his surroundings and his new senior's exuberant nature, felt a pang of discomfort at the closeness. He gently urged Gan Yi to be more mindful of his sudden gestures, admitting his own shyness. Gan Yi, taken aback, appeared crestfallen at the response, visibly shrinking back in apology. Cheol-soo immediately regretted his words. He recognized the earnestness in Gan Yi's intentions and sought to mend the moment, reassuring him that mistakes were part of the process, and that there was no need to feel disheartened. The reassurance lifted Gan Yi's spirits, and before long, he was smiling again. In his excitement, he threw his arm around Cheol-soo's shoulder, inviting him to explore the grounds. But as soon as he made the gesture, Gan Yi realized his mistake and quickly pulled back, apologizing once more. His enthusiasm had gotten the better of him, and he was clearly mortified by his lapse. Lee Cheol-soo reflected on his earlier interactions with Gan Yi, lamenting the unexpected turn of events. Up until that point, everything had been manageable. Gan Yi, despite his overzealous nature, had been someone Cheol-soo could calmly address, guiding him back to a more reasonable interaction. But Cheol-soo had miscalculated, overlooking the fact that Gan Yi, in his uncontained enthusiasm, would suddenly throw an arm around his shoulders in a gesture far too close for comfort. It was an innocent act, yet for Cheol-soo, it felt like an invasion of personal space. Cheol-soo's mind raced, his thoughts flashing to his principles. The indignation rose in him as he recalled his self-imposed chastity and his firm belief that such embraces were meant only for the most beautiful women. To him, that moment felt like a near betrayal of his long-standing personal vows. The absurdity of the situation made him inwardly seethe, as he exaggerated the gravity of the encounter, imagining it as a near loss of 50 years of self-restraint. As Cheol-soo brooded, his thoughts turned to his previous life and the enigma that was Gan Yi. A prodigy, a genius born of the Guangdong sect, Gan Yi was renowned for rebuilding the joint sect without hesitation or fear, even in the face of chaos. His reputation was one of near perfection, brilliant in martial arts, unmatched in intelligence, and admired by many. Yet, despite the swarm of women who admired him, Gan Yi seemed indifferent to their advances. It was a mystery to the martial world, a fact that puzzled Cheol-soo even further. He couldn't comprehend how a man with Gan-Yi's abilities, character, and looks could remain so detached from the affections of women. The more Cheol-soo thought about it, the more he found himself drawing conclusions, ones that were increasingly absurd. He began to entertain the notion that Gan-Yi, despite all his greatness, might simply not be interested in women at all. Cheol-soo's exaggerated mind ran wild with theories, imagining that Gan-Yi's aloofness was not due to his martial focus but something else entirely. As these thoughts swirled, Cheol-soo's insecurities began to surface, leading him to question his own physicality and masculinity. He peered down at himself, suddenly concerned with matters that had never bothered him before. The absurdity of his predicament reached a fever pitch as he considered ridiculous solutions to his non-existent problems. His mind briefly wandered into a strange theory that Gan-Yi was totally a gay. Despite the whirlwind of thoughts, Cheol-soo found his resolve again. Whatever bizarre conclusions he had reached about Gan-Yi, one thing remained clear. He was determined to hold on to his own principles, his own path. He would not waver, even in the face of someone as brilliant and intimidating as Gan-Yi. His journey was far from over, and whatever challenges lay ahead, Cheol-soo was resolute that he wouldn't let his but to be used by Gan-Yi. In the solitude of her room, Gan-Yi, a woman living under the guise of a man, felt the weight of frustration pressing down on her. The events of the day replayed in her mind, each moment tinged with embarrassment. Her excitement over the arrival of a new disciple, Lee Cheol-soo, had led her to act impulsively, committing 2 acts of rudeness that now gnawed at her. She had been overjoyed at the thought of having a new companion, a new member of what she considered her family, but in her enthusiasm, she had forgotten the importance of restraint. Her desire to set a good example had crumbled in the face of her eagerness. Gan-Yi's thoughts wandered back to her interactions with Cheol-soo. Despite the awkwardness of the situation, he had responded with surprising kindness, going out of his way to consider her feelings. His understanding nature made her heart ache with a strange new longing, one she wasn't entirely familiar with. It wasn't romantic. It was the yearning for connection, for closeness, perhaps even for the bond of brotherhood that she had never truly experienced before. The idea of having a brother, someone to share her burdens and joys with, filled her with hope. She longed to grow closer to Cheol-soo, to build a relationship that transcended the formalities of their positions. She imagined a future where they could embrace each other freely, without the barriers of discomfort or misunderstanding, where the bond of siblinghood might grow naturally between them. After finishing his task of organizing the sparse kitchen, Lee Cheol-soo stood back, surveying his work. The sense of accomplishment was short-lived as he quietly muttered to himself, his thoughts heavy with dissatisfaction. The state of the kitchen was dismal, old, rickety, and in dire need of repair. The dilapidated space seemed to echo the poverty that clung to the once proud sect. As he gazed around, he couldn't help but wonder what had led him here, to this forsaken place. Yet, deep inside, Cheol-soo remained resolute. To rise within the martial world, to one day be hailed as a hero, he knew he needed to make a good impression on both his master and his senior. Every small task, no matter how menial, would serve as a stepping stone toward that goal. Even if it meant scrubbing grains of rice or meticulously preparing vegetables in this crumbling kitchen, he was determined to do it with purpose. Today, even the humble act of cleaning felt like an opportunity to honor the great master. Just as his thoughts wandered to the future he so desperately sought, the door to the kitchen swung open abruptly. Gan-Yi entered with hurried steps, his presence cutting through the quiet atmosphere. Cheol-soo's heart leapt in surprise, his nerves catching him off guard. Though startled by his sudden appearance, he quickly composed himself, realizing he had come with a genuine concern for him. Despite his earlier frustrations, he felt a small sense of pride knowing he had managed to prepare everything for the upcoming meal without any help. Gan-Yi, having seen his efforts, seemed impressed, though his expression held a note of surprise. But for Cheol-soo this was expected. As the youngest disciple, he believed it was his duty to carry out these tasks without complaint. In his mind, these small efforts were not just chores. They were the foundation upon which his future would be built. Even in the face of hardship, he silently vowed to continue pushing forward, using every moment to prove his worth. Gan Yi's voice echoed with unexpected enthusiasm as she praised Lee Cheol-soo for his swift and capable handling of the kitchen duties. His words were filled with genuine admiration, which caught Cheol-soo off guard. As he spoke, Cheol-soo's thoughts drifted for a moment, reflecting on the stark difference between them. Gan Yi's appearance, even in this dilapidated setting, radiated an effortless charm. His handsome features only deepened Cheol-soo's frustrations, making him wonder if life might have been kinder had he possessed even half of Gan Yi's striking looks. He snapped back to the present, replying humbly, his words heavy with the weight of his past. Growing up quickly after losing his parents had hardened him, forcing him to act independently. Despite his efforts, there was a lingering fear that his actions might come off as disrespectful or make others uncomfortable. But Gan Yi quickly dispelled those concerns, assuring him with a kind-hearted explanation that revealed more than Cheol-soo expected. Gan Yi, too, was an orphan, and it seemed the shared hardship had stirred a sense of camaraderie between them. Cheol-soo couldn't help but reflect on the humility his senior displayed, apologizing frequently, almost excessively, since their meeting. It made him wonder if Gan Yi's kindness was mistaken for weakness by others, though Cheol-soo himself was beginning to see past it. As Gan Yi offered to help with the kitchen tasks, a sense of duty swelled within Cheol-soo. He remembered the stories he had heard, the legendary Gan Yi, a figure once tied to the existence of a sister known as the world's greatest beauty. That sister had yet to appear, though, and for now, Cheol-soo found himself standing as Gan Yi's closest peer. Realizing this, he decided he could indulge his senior's kindness for a little while longer. He offered a suggestion, shifting the roles slightly, before hurrying to fetch fresh water for the vegetables. As Lee Cheol-soo fetched the water, his mind spun with ambition, calculating his path to fame and seduction. His intentions were clear. He had no desire to grow close to Gan Yi, only to exploit the future renown of his senior. In his vision, the mere association with Gan Yi's name would allow him to conquer the hearts of countless women, using his charm to ensure their infatuation. But as his thoughts delved deeper into this grandiose plan, fate intervened. The shelf that held the kitchen utensils suddenly gave way with a loud crack. The items tumbled downward, threatening to fall upon Cheol-soo, who remained unaware of the impending danger. In a flash, Gan Yi's instincts kicked in. Seeing the broken shelf and the peril it posed, he acted without hesitation, racing toward his junior. With a swift motion, he pulled him out of harm's way, resulting in an awkward but necessary rescue. Gan Yi's face, filled with concern, hovered close to Cheol-soo's as he checked to see if he was unharmed. In that moment, as their faces were inches apart, Cheol-soo found himself briefly entranced by the unexpected closeness. His thoughts wavered, wondering at the beauty of the future he sought. Despite the sudden intimacy of the situation, his resolve remained unshaken. He was determined to stay true to his goals, silently reminding himself of the dream he was chasing. Even as Gan Yi made a remark, concerned but lighthearted, about the weight of his junior, Cheol-soo's thoughts continued to drift. He refused to be distracted from his aspirations. After all, the path to his ultimate triumph required focus, and above all, protecting his butt from any potential distractions or complications. With this thought firmly in mind, he reaffirmed his resolve, inwardly dismissing the momentary closeness, clinging to his belief that his future victories lay elsewhere.